The Mindset Index originated from practice. I've had the luxury of spending a vast amount of time with senior leaders in large organizations all over the world, in Europe, in the Middle East, in many countries in Africa and Australia and so on. And as I experienced these interactions with these senior guys in these large organizations, often multinationals, a debate would often break out. And after a few of these sessions, it must have been hundreds, I realized eventually that these debates, these differences of opinion, could be structured, they could be organized. There's a taxonomy here, there's a classification system in these discussions and debates. And eventually, I started realizing that discrete constructs can be identified, specific elements based on the mindset of these leaders. In other words, the way they think about the nature of their problems and the way they think about strategy and the future. These constructs eventually are what became the fundamental building blocks of the Mindset Index. So the index comes from practice, real experience with real leaders in real organizations with real strategic challenges. Let me give you a classic example. One of the issues I'd often raise with senior leaders is whether they believe customers, shareholders, investors, their talent, suppliers, and so on, whether they believe those stakeholders have choices. Do they operate from a position of choice, of purpose, or whether they're essentially the product of their environment? This would be one of the number one sources of disagreement. To be honest, it often became almost a fist fight. I realized that some people fundamentally believe in the reality of choice, the fact that people have choices and that they exercise those choices, while others believe that people are essentially, largely, the product of their environment. This example led to one of the key constructs in the index on voluntarism and determinism. Voluntarists believe in choice, they use choice, and it informs the way they design strategy. Determinists, on the other hand, understand that people are sometimes structured by their environment. Their conditions shape the way they think. And so that informs their vantage point on the way they think about their stakeholders and the resultant insights for their strategy. There's just one of these practical examples of how these leaders can think in such different ways. And there are various others, of course, that form the foundation of the index.